Hey, listen to Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and MP. As always, I'm Grady, and live on Skype we got Josh.
Hey!
It was an action-packed Summerslam this past weekend. We got a lot to get through, a lot of new storylines coming out of it, and a lot of new directions we're heading in after Raw. So let's just start it off. First match, the one you thought, match of the night maybe, we'll see what happens. Bianca Belair, Becky Lynch, they didn't go 26 seconds.
No, fortunately, they went about 15 more minutes. Yeah, it was a really good match. The right outcome. It ended just a year-long storyline, and now Bianca can look into the future to see what's coming her way. But first, she got a surprise. She got a handshake from Becky.
Oh, that surprise. There was multiple surprises she got this night.
One that did not end with the manhandle slam.
Yeah, it was a show of respect, I guess, between the two, which is, again, perfect way to cap it off.
Yeah, and it effectively turns Becky face with one action, too. Unfortunately, Becky got hurt.
Yeah, it's the biggest and probably the only downside of this match is, as you say, Becky unfortunately separating her shoulder and is now going to be out for a chunk of time. Especially when it looked like they had something, obviously with the post-match shenanigans, something set up with Becky, with Bianca to be moving forward with. Plans subject to change, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, the places that they seem to have found to fit in with Bianca to replace Becky aren't too shabby.
True. We'll stop dancing around it. Let's just bring it in. And what I'm going to say is probably surprise of the night. Just because it became so many things piled into one. After the match, we get Bayley returning after over a year away, coming back in and claims that she's not here alone. And
No.
It was a real weird people that she brought. Well, one real weird person that she brought with her.
Yeah, she brought somebody who was on the roster and somebody who was apparently not on the roster at that we knew of. We got Io Shirai, now known as Io Sky, which I'm perfectly fine with. That allows WWE to market her on the main roster and actually allows her to use her name when she returns to Japan for like a retirement tour.
It's not a bad rename. It sounds similar enough. When it was said verbally, I didn't really notice necessarily that it had been changed up until I got sent a screenshot of it being changed up.
Yeah, it also doesn't help that that commentary has slipped and actually called her Io Shirai a couple times since her return.
And it means that you can call the tag team Sky and Kai.
Oh, yeah, because we haven't mentioned the other person.
Somehow, out of the depths of future endeavorment, Dakota Kai rises above.
Yeah, which got a huge shocked look from the champion.
I can see why.
Or not, that was probably one of the emotions of the night.
Yeah, it was so weird. Like, you bring up Bayley and I'm like, yeah, Bayley's returning. That makes a whole lot of sense. And I know it's out of order, but like, Io Shirai, you're like, okay, a call up from NXT, this makes sense. But Dakota Kai, someone who you fired a couple months ago, so strange.
Yeah. And these three ladies have definitely gone on into attack mode because they attacked the injured Becky Lynch for the write-off. It'll probably be gone for a couple months because she separated her shoulder. And then they went after the formerly feuding Asuka and Alexa Bliss.
Which, honestly, they're going to be stacked up against those odds.
Which ticked off the Raw Women's Champion, Bianca. And we had a really good match between Bianca and Io Sky that ended with a no contest because everybody got involved in the fight that wasn't in the match. So, which I'm fine with because you couldn't have the returning Io Shirai losing a match in her first official match on the roster, and you can't make your champion who you spent 2 years building so strong look weak by losing to Io.
Yeah, it was kind of a bit of a catch-22 when they'd set up that match, but it really worked out well. Obviously, we're heading towards some combination of this, whether we do, a singles match and a tag match, whether we do a bunch of singles, whether we're going to do a 6-woman tag team match. You got a few outcomes here and there, but I expect these 6 women to be feuding for a little while now.
Definitely, I do think that we will definitely see something at Clash at the Castle.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I think it'll probably end up being Bayley versus Bianca for the title, and then probably Io and Kai versus Alexa Bliss and Asuka for the vacant WWE Tag Team Championship.
Yep. Obviously, with the change in regime, a lot of different plans being thrown around, a lot of different rumors floating. We do have to move on from this match, though. We have quite a bit left to cover, and we've put a lot of time onto this one, so we're just going to have to skip over this next one really fast. Logan Paul, Miz. It was a match.
It was a good match. Really good match. I think if you look at the most recent celebrity matches that WWE's had, you could put all of them in pretty much the top 5 of all time. And 3 of them involve The Miz.
Of course they do. The Miz number 1.
Yeah. At what point will Logan Paul go from being a celebrity to being an actual?
That's kind of the big question on everybody's lips at the moment, right? You just got to figure that out. At the moment, he's an attraction. He's done his 2 matches. I don't expect him to be wrestling week to week to week, maybe, but we got to be seeing him in the ring a little more often than just WrestleMania and SummerSlam.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really know what the plan is, but there's definitely something there. Logan Paul, love him, hate him, I don't care.
Hate him.
He's extremely talented. He seemed to take into this like a duck out of water, and sky's pretty much the limit for Logan Paul.
All right, that's all the airtime I'm going to give him, mostly because, again, we're still running out of time. Bobby Lashley Theory United States Championship match. Kind of as expected, Bobby Lashley manages to retain against Theory.
Yeah, it was a match. This is the one that deserves it was a match.
Yeah, but then this one immediately after does have the conversation about what happened on Raw. Bobby Lashley's new number 1 contender getting named, and it looks like Ciampa's going to be getting his shot for the US title.
Yeah, the right call. AJ Styles and Ciampa put on a good match for the number 1 contendership after 2 really good triple threats earlier in the night. Ciampa becoming the next United States champion makes total sense.
You think he's going to get the title?
I think he will get the title, and then The Miz will turn on him because he'll get jealous of it.
Of course, it's a mid-card title. The Miz always has his eyes on those. And then we still got a little bit of time to shove in the Mysterios versus Judgment Day. It was a no disqualification tag team match, went for about 11 minutes. Rhea Ripley gets herself involved, as does the returning Edge.
It was expected. Yeah, it is what it is. I do think, based on further stuff that happened on Raw, I do think Dominic Mysterio is a ticking time bomb. Because the Judgment Day was not done with the Mysterios.
No.
And they attacked them after they barely lost a phenomenal tag team title match, which I won't say who was in it because that spoils another match later on. And then you had Rhea Ripley absolutely torturing Dominic. And then at the end, when Edge comes out to save the day, he accidentally spears Dominic because Dominic got pushed in front of Finn Balor.
Yeah. I don't know, I could still definitely see something along the lines of either, Edge and Ray versus the Judgment Day, or Edge and Dominic versus the Judgment Day, where Dominic flips on them. But I think you're right, it is a matter of time before this boy flips.
Yeah. It could be as simple as Rhea Ripley herself speaking this language that only women know, and manipulates the young Dominic Mysterio, and that causes his heel turn.
Yeah, we don't exactly know how or why yet, but it is just a case of counting down the days, counting down the weeks until we see him in some purple and black gear. Let's go into the song here, just to try and give us a little bit of time on the other end. It is, for some points that will make sense later, it is going to be the theme of the next big thing, the Beast Incarnate, Brock Lesnar. And you're back to the Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and NPR. I'm Grady, he's Josh. We've got 4 more matches to get through. You're talking about celebrity matches earlier, so we got to talk about Pat McAfee and Happy Corbin.
This was a good match. Pat McAfee absolutely is gold. And at some point, do you consider Pat McAfee to be a celebrity?
That's true.
Because if you remove the celebrity tag from Pat McAfee, that eliminates like 5 of the best matches of a celebrity in the last 10 years.
To be fair, he is a WWE employee, just as a commentator.
Yeah. But yeah, it's McAfee and Corbin absolutely went at it. They had a good match. McAfee came out on top. Happy Corbin hopefully falls into some sort of spiral that knocks him out of his happiness.
He could just retain back his barrenness. I don't think he was ever given the title Baron by a monarch. I think he could just grab it again. Or we can have another King of the Ring tournament. Why not? But yeah, what is next for Corbin is going to be the big question on this one. Pat McAfee, again, much like Logan Paul, I don't know if we're going to start seeing him on the weekly in the ring. I think Logan's a little more likely than Pat. Pat might stick to that special attraction. Maybe we see him at Survivor Series or the Rumble or something, but that's pretty much it. I could
definitely see him in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah,
I could see him having a coming out at like number 19, and
that's such an exact call. I'm gonna be so surprised now if it happens.
And he gets an elimination real quick, and then is eliminated. Then goes to the announce table and starts calling the rest of the match.
Yeah. We've seen a few announcers entering the Rumble from the commentary table, and it's always good fun. What else we got here? We got the tag team title match. The match you said was gonna be match of the night. It is the Usos versus the Street Profits for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships, with Jeff Jarrett as the special guest referee. Honestly,
this match was great, but it was not as good as the one they had at Money in the Bank.
A little bit of a letdown.
Yeah, you did have a high bar to set.
That's true.
To meet anyway. It was fantastic. Once again, we have the Usos coming out on top, and I think they're laying seeds for Montez Ford to turn heel on Dawkins, not the other way around as we initially thought.
Yeah, it does appear as though it's hard, because no matter how the breakup happens, that you can be against as much as you want to be against, it seems as though that's the route they're going. Ford is going to be the person that they focus on, heel, face, or otherwise. And yeah, we're going to just have to see what ends up happening with Ford. I struggle to not just look at the Heavy Machinery breakup of Tucker and Otis and think of that one. And so just crossing my fingers here.
The difference here is they're not going to release Dawkins in 3 weeks after the breakup.
Fingers crossed.
That was what really hurt that breakup, was that they immediately released Tucker. So the storyline was immediately chopped before they could even do any development.
Yeah, I'm hoping that these two at least get to tell their story. It does seem like they're taking their time with doing it. They're not just clicking their fingers and splitting them. They are sowing seeds of dissension.
They were even referencing that they could break up.
Yeah.
On Raw. Although Ford did almost pull a pretty good kill move with the they were doing rock paper scissors to see who would face Seth Rollins, and they get to the shoot part, and Montez Ford just runs to the ring.
Yeah, he's grabbing that brass ring for sure.
He lost. He had a fantastic match with Seth Rollins too. Just came up just a tiny bit short. I kind of expect next week Angela Dawkins to face Seth Rollins, and this may be where the seeds start growing into plants. He actually beats Seth Rollins.
That's a crazy plan. I don't know if I can get with you on this this cart, but I'll let you throw out crazy ideas like that, and then when you're right, you can come on and you can say you were right. Alrighty, we're second to last match, because I do want to leave a little bit of time. We've got about 10 minutes left in the show for that main event. SmackDown Women's Championship, Liv Morgan versus Ronda Rousey. Our girl Liv comes out with the retain.
Despite the controversy.
Yeah, despite the not needing an action replay to show that Liv actually tapped out first, but hey, Ronda can't lose clean. Ronda's shoulder is always up, or somebody's tapped first, or this or that, or it was a roll-up after a match. Look, take that all the way to the side. What's important here, Liv still has the belt, and Ronda got suspended, quote-unquote, and that means that Liv Morgan's going to hold on to that belt a little bit longer.
Yeah, Ronda got suspended and fined for post-match shenanigery because she got pissed off that she lost the match despite Liv tapping.
The funny part was, I was watching this with my partner, and I lean over, and as soon as Rousey starts, getting angry, I'm like, alright, tomorrow, the headline's gonna be Ronda Rousey gets suspended and fined for attacking a referee, and she'll take a break. And then, boom, next day, nailed it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously, Liv could not lose here. Any goodwill WWE had for the women's division would have been lost immediately. Because there's a lot of respect for Liv in the backstage or otherwise for the work that she's put in this past year. So they were definitely in a very difficult spot because you do have to protect the attraction that is known as Ronda Rousey.
At this point, I'm starting to think if Ronda has ever lost cleanly.
No, I think she's only lost 3 times.
Hmm.
And Liv Morgan is 2 of them.
I think Charlotte beat her once, didn't she?
Yeah, it's WrestleMania. But it was not clean either.
Yeah, it's never clean.
You're absolutely right. 4. But still 2 out of 4 is Liv Morgan.
Yeah. Neither of which were particularly clean. Yeah. I'm trying to quickly skim if I've seen any others. Nope, that's a draw. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I think that's it.
Her first loss was the WrestleMania match. And then her second loss was Charlotte.
Yeah,
her third and fourth are to Liv.
Yeah. Becky with her shoulders up. Charlotte with the false finish as well. Liv Morgan after a cash-in, and then Liv Morgan where she tapped first. So it might still never been clean. Never been a clean win. Well, I guess the big question here is, we know Bianca Belair has her future set up. We got Asuka, we got Alexa, we got the Bayley, Io, Dakota team. But Liv Morgan's slate is pretty clean at the moment.
Yeah, it's clean because you had to get past Ronda first. I won't find out probably this week on SmackDown. Probably closer. I'll get some hints on who Liv Morgan's opponent for the next pay-per-view. But definitely riding high right now.
Yeah, fingers crossed that she can keep riding that momentum and continue through whoever her next opponent is. Alrighty, we got our final match, our main event, our 23-minute long one. It was a last man standing match for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar. Where do you even start to unpack this match?
This was the match of the night.
That's just because you like tractors, okay?
This was insanity incarnate. You said Brock brought out Brock brought out a tractor, jumped from the top of it to attack Roman Reigns, but before that, threw him a microphone, which the Roman's Grenade caught. And then they went to absolute war. Tables broken, multiple of it.
Outside
Steel
bumps.
chair, yeah. Steel stairs, chairs.
Heyman going through an announce table.
Yeah. The Mr. Money in the Bank coming down to try to cash in the middle of the match and getting F5'd and beat the tar out of with his own briefcase.
I bet he regrets that decision.
And then the ring gets picked up by the tractor with Roman in it, so he basically gets tossed out of the ring by rolling out of it. And then you have the most predictable finish for a Roman Reigns last man standing match. Somebody gets buried at the announce table.
After a bit of interference, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great match, start to finish. I really liked the tractor spots just because of how unique they were. I've never seen the corner of a ring lifted up like that, and it just created this cool atmosphere and amazing imagery at the end of the match, and some of the shots, obviously, after the show went off the air and things like that.
My initial thoughts was they're going to use that to pin down Brock, and then I realized, oh wait, a ring is about at least a ton. That's not a good idea.
No, that might break a rib or 7.
But yeah, it was a fantastic story, an amazing way to end this feud. Brock can go be a cowboy for a little while, and then maybe we'll see him for WrestleMania season. But he doesn't have to be in the title picture anymore. Roman can move on and focus on defending in the UK against Drew McIntyre, and we get great things between them. We have stuff that will be in this match will be shown repeatedly for years and years and years. Just the same as when Brock broke the ring the first time with Big Show. That's still shown even to this day. And it's been attempted several times since then. But there were just so many amazing moments in that entire 23 minutes.
Yeah, I want to rewind a little bit. Brock Lesnar, we're obviously ending the feud. Murmurs around his behavior following some of the recent announcements, getting him to come back, finish this feud. His posing at the end of it, tipping the cowboy hat and all that. Do you think that this, obviously you think maybe he's back for WrestleMania, the other theory floating around is this might have been his swan song?
It could be, but I don't think so, because I think Brock's having way too much fun right now. So I do think we will see Brock Lesnar probably to face somebody at WrestleMania. But Brock Lesnar is one of the greatest attractions in the history of WWE. And if that is his last match, he went out on a hell of a banger.
Yeah, it was a real good one. First, last, whatever it ends up being. But that being said, I don't need to see Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar again. This was a good one. End it here. Yeah.
Definitely we don't. If we see it again, make it 5 years in the future.
Yep. It better be 5 years down the line.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's definitely where it needed to end for the feud. And that was the decision to end it. Because if you put the titles on Brock, that just gives Roman a reason to go back after him. So now that ends that page. Now Roman looks forward to Drew and possibly dropping the titles. Because you want to know something? Clash at the Castle, September 3rd.
Okay.
That is 4 days after Roman Reigns passes the 2-year mark as Universal Champion.
Look, at this point, I am never going to bet against Roman Reigns. This guy's going to hold the titles until he retires. Because the betting odds on that are great. If I just keep picking him winning, then I've just won for the last year and a half. I'm going to keep putting it all on Roman. I love Drew, but Roman is Roman.
Yeah, Roman's amazing, but I do think that they are preparing to put the titles on somebody else. Whether it's Drew or Theory, I do think that in the next 2 months, somebody other than Roman Reigns will be the champion.
I'll believe it when I see it, and that won't be this episode because we are all out of time for this one. It's been great talking to you.
Bye, B.
You can visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/WrestlingRNDup, our Twitter page, twitter.com/WrestlingRNDup, or our YouTube page, youtube.com/WrestlingRNDup. And we will see you next week.